This is the 18th season of Bass Talk Live. With your host, Matt Pangrath. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, AFCO, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, and Pro Guide Batteries.
BTL, coming at you!
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Been a little bit of a hiatus from the professional tournament scene. It seemed like both the Elite Series and the Pro Circuit and the BPT took off the majority of July, and things are about to get ramped back up. Recorded show today, actually up at Kurt Dove's Pro Bass Camp on Oneida Lake, but wanted to get an angler on who really is succeeding through consistency this year, and obviously just numbers-wise, and everyone knows that I'm a numbers guy, the bigger the field, the harder it is to be consistent. And our angler today has been extremely consistent. 6th, 55th, 18th, 5th, and 25th through the first 5 stops of the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. And I'll bring him in right now. That would be the current Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit Angler of the Year leader, Josh Butler, checking in from work. Josh, thanks for jumping on BTL, and first time on BTL, and it's first time leading the Pro Circuit Angler of the Year heading into the last event of the season.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. Looking forward to it.
I talked about the consistency leading into it, second year pro on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. What are your thoughts about finding yourself with a 1 next to your name on your profile with maximum 4 days fishing left for the Angler of the Year?
Yeah, we're excited. Great year so far, but it's not done yet. Still have a lot of work left to do, and got to go catch them at Champlain. Really looking forward to that one, but right now I'm just trying to enjoy it. It's been one heck of a year, and trying to keep it rolling through Champlain.
I like getting new guests on BTL and learning about new guys, because in order to get to the top level of bass fishing, there's no one that's done it without making a crazy amount of sacrifices. Sometimes that's guys, you got like a Jacob Wheeler who starts. I mean, it's like his entire life has been consumed with it. You have guys who jump in later than life. You have a number of different ways to get to the top, but it all involves sacrifice and hard work. And just talking with you a little bit before the show, it seems like you're a guy who's not afraid to get your hands dirty and have put in the hard work over the years, and just kind of talk about a little bit of your story, what your deal is, and how you ended up where you are.
Yeah, no doubt. Actually, I mean, I've fished since I was a little kid, like 2 years old. Always loved to fish, but really in high school it was all sports. And then I picked up golf around 8th grade, I guess you would say, and that I was at golf. Ended up getting a scholarship. Played 2 years community college. Had a chance to play after that, but kind of got burnt out, I guess you would say, and just wanted to be a college kid. College fishing was around, but I went to the University of Alabama, but you had to have a boat, I believe, in order to be on the team, and didn't do that, which bass fishing wasn't even in my vision at that point. Graduated from there, and immediately after graduating, started working in the family business. We own a asphalt paving business here in the Birmingham area, and I probably did that for 6-8 years. And 2 years after college, I ended up buying my first bass boat and just took it from there. Every chance I can get on the water, I was out there, really ate up by it, enjoyed it. I really just needed something to fill that competitive void, I guess you would say. And the competition that really drove me to uh, starting to fish tournaments, bigger tournaments, I guess to scratch that itch. And then I guess you could say the rest is history. Went out in 2020, first signed up for all three Toyota Series events, and ended up qualifying for the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. And second year now, and I guess that's my story.
I didn't realize that. This is a rapid ascent then. So that was the first year. 2020 was the first year that you fished all three, which was the weird COVID year too.
That's correct.
So like this is like 24 to 36 months, and now you're like 4 days away from the Angler of the Year trophy. And you got Michael Neal and Justin Lucas looking up at you.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. But I like the competitive side of it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Is that wild to you? I mean, you got looking at your stats. You got a BFL win. You've obviously been competitive around Alabama. But did you ever envision yourself in this situation when you started, or what were the end goals?
I'll be honest. I mean, when I started, no. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I really didn't see myself in this position, especially not 2 years ago. Got to be really honest about that. But now that I am in this position, like I said, I'm just trying to enjoy the ride. It's all coming fast. I got people asking, what if, and what plans next year, and I'm like, let's slow down. We still have a tournament left. Anything could happen. I'm trying to keep my focus on Champlain, I guess you would say. I'm not really trying to worry about BPT. What if I win AOI and all that? I'm really just trying to catch them at Champlain, and if we catch them, everything should take care of itself, and then we can start talking possibilities about BPT and what might follow after that.
All right. I want to get into Champlain. I want to get into the game plan a little bit in the second half. I want to circle back to you mentioned the golf thing. Love to make sports comparisons here on BTL. And I'm a casual golfer, grew up golf and love golf. And I think that there's a lot of similarities. Obviously, Mark Jeffries, who used to host the show for big time bowling, big into bowling, that individual sport is a unique dynamic, and I think golf is a really good parallel to fishing. You mentioned it kind of scratched that itch. Do you agree with that as far as emotions, handling your emotions, performing under pressure? That growing up golfing at a high level has helped you on the water?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, golf is the same thing. Even though it was like a team sport in college and high school and all that, but at the end of the day, it's you and the golf ball. That's it. And, you can't blame no one else. Everybody's playing the same conditions. It's you. It's really all mental. And I feel like fishing, I mean, we could all cast a lure. We could all skip a jig. It's mental, and it's overcoming the mental side of it. And I definitely think golf helped, with the fishing side of things. It's a very mental deal, especially 4-day tournament. The grind, the practice, you practice 12, 14 hours. Sorry about that. But yeah, you practice 12, 14 hours a day, not a lot of sleep. I mean, it's very easy to want to give up or cut things short, but to put in the time to see the end result, you got to look at the big picture and just keeping yourself on the track.
I told you you're working, man. You're a businessman. You're trying to handle business.
I know it. But yeah, but just keeping it on the tracks mentally, golf and fishing go hand in hand 100%. So yeah, I definitely agree.
So on the golf course, were you a guy that would always try to go for the par fives and two? Are you shooting it over the water? Are you shooting for a score? And then are you the same way in fishing? Well, we talked about your consistency at the beginning of the show, but what is your style? Do you have the same style on the course as you do on the water?
I was go for it type golfer, I guess
Okay.
you would. I was, it didn't matter. Allen Green, 300 yards. I'm taking out driver and I'm going for the green. I I didn't really play it safe, and I would, especially when I was younger. But as I got older, and that's one thing you really learn in golf. I mean, you got to know when to take your medicine. Just because you hit it in the trees, yeah, you might have a 4 foot gap in between some trees, and you can play that hero shot that everybody wants to try to play, but that can compound into a double, triple bogey. Uh, Fishing's the same way. You can make some mistakes, but you got to know when to, I guess, lay up, chip out, take what the golf course or the fishery is giving you, and adjust as you go on, I guess you would say. And I fishing, I would say at first I was more of a hero. It depends on the tournament too. If it's a 1 day shootout, obviously, I'm going out there, I'm trying to catch 5 fish, the biggest fish. But more so in the 2, 3 multi-day tournaments, I guess you would say, I'm more of a let's go find a limit and then let's upgrade one at a time.
Okay.
Uh, so that's kind of my style.
What happened to you in 2020? You like win a BFL, you make 20K in the BFL, you go to the BFL regional, you win 68K in the BFL regional. You get to fish in the All American. You have a top 15 in the All American. You have two top tens in the Toyota series in the Eastern Division. You finish third in the points there. Like, dude, that's a heck of a year. Like, you literally, like, from the AAA level down, really, unless you, like, win the All American, cannot have a better year than that fishing regionally. That was nuts, man. Like, what? How did that happen?
I have no idea. I mean, it just all came together. It's one of those deals you really can't explain it. Very, very amazing year, and it just seemed everything went right that year, I guess you would say. Um, we just flat out caught them, and some of the lakes got really good. I mean, I was blessed with the schedule. I did not have aspiration. I mean, I did have aspirations, but going into it, I didn't imagine winning Angler of the Year in the Choo Choo division. Two top tens, et cetera. Winning the 3 day regional. It was just one of those things you can't explain. You just enjoy the ride and you fish. And whenever you fishing good, I mean, it seems to come easy, I guess you would say. Not that it came easy, but it just seems whenever you can trust your gut, move around, fish free, it good things happen. And that year, I mean, it was phenomenal.
Did you ride like a specific technique or lure, or was there something that clicked there? I see a lot of guys get on a roll on the tours, and it's like, well, I know you're not supposed to throw a chatterbait at this event, but like I've caught them in the last two, it's already tied on, and they go on a 3-4 tournament roll with the same bait that they get. Or were you mixing it up, doing all sorts of different stuff?
It was definitely up. I would say I'm just trying to think of the events that year. Uh, the Toyota series you follow set up perfect. Offshore deal, that's what I love to do.
Okay.
And that place was just absolutely phenomenal. Uh, don't know what's happened to it the last couple of years, but that's another story for another time. But it was absolutely unreal. I mean, you'd catch 3 or 4 limits of 16 pounds like it was nothing. If you caught it, I mean, you pretty much just threw it back because you knew that wasn't going to help you. But that was a great event. And then the second event, some things happened. I really don't want to get in on there, but Wheeler was just really tough in July because of COVID and everything that happened. Um, didn't catch him the second day, and then the third event at Neely. I mean, that was just a grind fest. Anywhere in Alabama, especially the Coosa River, in August, I think that was, maybe September.
Yeah, early September.
It was just a brutal grind, brutal grind. And I just happened to, when things are going your way, they're going your way. I mean, I threw a buzz bait up under a culvert and didn't even get 2 turns on the reel handle and caught like a 5 pounder. Well, that's like catching a 10 pounder,
Yeah.
So I think I might have caught like 12 or 13 pounds that second day to vault me up into the top 10. And that's what ended up having me qualify for the tour. And the BFLs, I mean, it's just a lot of the lakes I fished, a lot of confidence. Smith worked out great. I found them grouped up in like 30 foot, a big football jig and a swim bait, and it was flooded. So run ins were in play. I mean, the lake was just fishing phenomenal. I think I
It's like
finished.
versatile stuff, man. It's like all
Yeah,
sorts of different stuff. Reading the conditions is what it sounds like you're really good at adapting.
absolutely, absolutely. And I just put a lot of time in. Unfortunately, COVID happened and all that. So people's got a lot of time off. I mean, we wasn't working as much because job sites were getting shut down, et cetera. So, I was able to put a little bit more time into the water. So I practice 2, 3 days sometimes for events, whereas normally I might only practice like 1.5 days. Um, so time on the water, I spent a lot of time on the water in 2020, and that seemed to help. But I caught them in a variety of ways. I mean, I think when I won the 2 day, I caught probably 6 or 7 of my fish on a drop shot at Guntersville offshore. So I like to throw a drop shot, but then I like to flip and fish grass, and I like to do a little bit of everything, I guess you would say.
Assume now, having talked to your title sponsor is like the family business, right? Butler with the B on that deal. It
That's
it had to be freeing to be able to have almost 100 grand from that 2020 season. Did you just reinvest that in yourself going into your rookie year last year on the pro circuit?
that's right. That's right. Yeah, you just take it, move it forward, and save for a rainy day, and that's what we've done.
What were your thoughts about your rookie year? Because you had a high of a 21st place finish and cashed 3 checks, but there really wasn't any indication of what you were going to do this year based on last year.
Absolutely. No, last year I wasn't excited about last year. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I could have finished any worse than what I did. I just had a bad year. Um, I think the 2 days of practice on these new bodies of water really didn't help. Um, and my time management was off, and I just did not catch them. I caught fish majority of places. Obviously, I did in the first day at Smith, which it is what it is. But I would say that. Mm, I mean, it was more or less. I want to say my head wasn't in it last year. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I was worried about the business back home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of it, and honestly, I didn't know what to expect going into it. Everybody says rookie year, it's the biggest learning curve, and obviously it was. Like I said, time management, 2 days of practice. You know, I was trying to cover so much water instead of just hunkering down in a 10, 15 mile stretch of lake or river and just really breaking down that section instead of trying to run all over and do what everybody said how it was going to be won instead of just fishing how I wanted to fish. And that's probably the biggest difference from last year to this year.
Yeah, your best. Like you look back at your results, you would think that like you had Eufaula and Smith on it. And that was a 99th and 102nd. You go up north, and you go to South Carolina, and you go down to Florida, and those are your 3 best. Did you have a lot of experience outside of the TVAs and Alabamas, or was this all first time seeing it?
It was all first time to
Wow.
Okeechobee, first time to Murray, first time to St. Lawrence, all those lakes, first time being there. Yeah, and the 2 lakes that was in my home state was like 2 of my worst finishes. I mean, last year it was just a bad year. I mean, I didn't even lose any fish. That was the thing. Looking back on it, I kind of evaluate how things went. Last year, I don't think I lost a single fish that would have helped me at the end of the day. I lost one at Smith the first day, obviously. It was a 4 pounder, but other than that, I didn't lose any fish. I just didn't catch big fish last year. And that was my biggest problem last year. I want to say probably the biggest fish I caught all year last year was probably like a 5-pounder at the St. Lawrence.
Small.
Yes, that's correct. And yeah, I mean, you got to catch, 4 5-pounders in order to compete. I mean, 2-pounders ain't going to cut it. I mean, let's be honest. And I was able to catch them at Murray pretty well. Fizzled out on the last day, but other than Murray, I mean, like Okeechobee, I mean, you got to catch that true flaunted down. I don't think I didn't even catch a 4-pounder at Okeechobee and finished 51st, I think, and missed it by 2 ounces. I mean, I caught a lot of solid fish, but you need that 6-7-pounder every day in your bag at Okeechobee, and I didn't catch that. And that was kind of how everything went last year. I mean, I was catching a lot of solid, like 2.5 pound fish, it seemed like, but for the most part, I could never catch a kicker. And I don't know if I just wasn't around them or, it was meant to be, but call it what you want to call it. It didn't end up being a good year for sure.
Well, it definitely turned around this year, 2022 leading it. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the 2022 season with current Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit Angler of the Year leader, Josh Butler. It is BTL. We'll be back right after this.
Your key to better fishing this season is Elite FS, now available at a new lower price. Get Elite FS9 today for $9.99, and we'll throw in a C-Map reveal chart, our premium mapping solution, for free. Elite FS works with all state-of-the-art Lowrance sonar, from chirp, side scan, and down scan imaging with fish reveal to high-resolution active target live sonar. Elite FS9 and C-Map reveal. Offer ends August 31st.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
We're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Get in order.
Once again, Drew Cook is in the driver's seat.
When you're catching fish for a living, you can't let a little cold, rain, heat, humidity, or anything else get in the way of a payday. I wear APCO. Any fish, any water.
The KVD 100 jerkbait. 15 different colors. A perfect combination of roll, wiggle, and flash. Increased castability. 3D eyes. Premium black nickel hooks. KVD. Tie one on. Striking lures.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? Well, the Bass Tank is here to help you. The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Welcome back to BTL, talking with Josh Butler about his journey to the top of the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit standings in 2022. We mentioned before Champlain coming up, closed out the segment with a number of fisheries that you hadn't been to. So I'm going to just go ahead out on a limb and say that you've never been to Champlain before either.
Oh, I actually have. Last year, whenever we was up at the St. Lawrence pre-practicing, I decided I was going to just stay up in New York instead of driving back and forth 24 hours. And so the Toyota Series in Champlain, and I ended up going over there and staying, and I attempted to go fish there. I got 1 day in of practice. It was a good day of fishing, but the second and third day it blew its head off, and really wasn't able to fish, I guess you would say. And, you know, we all know that's such a big body of water. If the wind blows 15, it could easily get up 3-4 footers. And the second day of practice, I tried to get out there and fish. It was just hard to move around. But third day, I think there was like 3 boats that tried to put in, and I think 2 of them were like walleye boats, I guess you would say. So
Luns.
Yeah, yes. And so I went into the tournament pretty blind, but I learned a lot of areas, and I really, really did like the lake. So I got a little bit of experience up there. I think the first day I might have caught like 15 pounds. I didn't even weigh in because I knew it was going to take like 18 pounds probably just to cut a check. And I wasn't fishing for points or nothing else. And the second day, I think I caught like another 14, 15 pound bag. So, and again, I didn't weigh those in. So I do have some experience, and I'm actually going to leave this Friday and travel to Champlain. And I'm going to spend Saturday to Saturday up there just running around, graphing, you know, trying to find rock piles and grass flats, whatever I can find, and see how I want to attack it, I guess, once the tournament comes.
A lot of the pro circuit guys I've interviewed this year say the biggest hurdle, and you mentioned it too last year in your rookie year, was adjusting to that 2 days of practice, whether it be a James River where you've got 1,000 miles of river you can fish, or Champlain like that. So it seems like a lot more guys are going and pre-practicing before that, so that way when you get there, it's not just, you know, a day to get used to it, a day to figure it out, and then an off day to freak out that you didn't find anything, and then boom, you're fishing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing too, I like going ahead and going to pre-fish, so I'm familiar with where the boat ramp is, you know, where restaurants are, gas stations. I mean, that's a huge part of it, and that's what a lot of people, you know, don't talk about, I guess, whenever they go and pre-fish. I mean, when you're comfortable with your surroundings, you know where things are, it makes life easier. You know, if you don't have to worry about where's the nearest grocery store, where are we going to go get groceries, or where can I go fill up? You know, that plays a big role into it too. Just being comfortable with the city, the boat ramps. Golly. Sorry.
It's all good.
But that, I would say, is that's pretty big. But the 2 days, yeah, I mean, it makes it tough, especially in an area like Champlain. I mean, you could fish all the way down to Ty to Missisquoi and the inland sea. I mean, you could spend 2 days in the inland sea and probably still not cover it. So it's just such a huge body of water. But that's where the pre-practice comes in. I mean, you find what areas of the lake. That's what I've done anyways. Find what areas of the lake you want to go fish, I guess, and kind of narrow it down to a 10-mile section, 15-mile section, and spend your 2 days of practice in there, and then kind of go off of that. And that's what I've kind of adjusted to with the only 2 days.
So what was it that allowed you to be able to focus on, like I said, the phone's ringing, it's business, you've got that, but this year you've been able to manage it a lot better, like just a lot less stress on the water, or delegating, or what has been the key? Because I think everyone deals with that, whether it's like home, whether it's business, whether it's a club tournament, a weekend tournament, there's always outside factors that impact performance. Either that, or you just like live in a box and only do fishing, which some guys have done and done very well at it. But obviously, I mean, dude, you got a lot on your plate, and you've exceeded very well this year with it.
Absolutely. I mean, first off, I mean, you know, my work family back here handling things, they're amazing. Couldn't do it without them. They really take a lot off my plate. and allow me to do this. They did the same thing last year, except I probably wasn't as willing to just, I guess I'm not going to say let it go, but way more this year. I've just let it go. I've concentrated on fishing, like I would say like 1 foot in the water last year. Well, this year I jumped in head first. I really made that effort to try to catch them because, I don't know if we touched on this, but I told myself if I didn't make the championship this year, it was probably going to be my last year, to be honest with you. Yep. That is 100% correct. So I said I was going to put everything into it and let the chips fall where they fall, and we'll see how it shakes out. And here we are.
I think you better be gearing up to make a few casts next year.
Absolutely. I mean, we're in.
Listen, I know you do interviews. You got guys asking you, "Hey, angler of the year, look who's." It's fishing. You can't sit here and pontificate on what is going to happen. You're going to go. You're going to do your best. You catch them. You catch them. You don't catch them. You don't catch them. Life goes on. But that being said, have you talked with Justin and Michael and Spencer Shuffield and the guys that are behind you, who have been there and done that? I mean, you've been in a lot of weigh-in lines and final days with some of these guys too. Like, how well do you know the guys that are trying to track you down? Because Michael Neal's like kind of catching them a little bit right now, and so is Justin Lucas.
Absolutely, yeah. That's two scary guys to be in front of, for sure. But I haven't really discussed it with any of them. I mean, we're all kind of close to the vest. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're all serious. I mean, Justin, he's a great guy. I know Justin. I don't know Michael, but there's a lot of great guys behind us, behind me and them. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to. I'm not really focused, I guess, on who's behind me. We just got to catch them. I mean, if I go put my time in, put my homework in, like you said, I mean, it is what it is. But if I do what I think I can do and put the time, put the practice smart, practice well, and I land the fish, I mean, I've got a shot just like everybody else. But if we catch them, hey, that's awesome. If we don't, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. Overall, it's been a fantastic year. Would I be disappointed? Probably a little bit because I'm in the position that I'm in. But like I said, I'm just going to enjoy it for now, and we're just going to go do our best, and that's all we can do. I can't worry about it. I got to go catch them at Champlain, and that's what I'm worried about. And like I said, if we catch them, it'll take care of itself, and if it don't, it wasn't meant to be, and it's a great year, and then we'll move forward.
How is the BPT stuff working? Are they doing a 2-year average or a 1-year average this year?
I think it's a 1. So top 10, I think, get to qualify. So that's looking pretty good. But like I said, we still have one event left.
No,
and
I hear you. I had to ask about it, man.
I mean, anybody ask, and I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I mean, if we make the top 10, which I think we're probably pretty safe to do so, yes, we definitely will be accepting and probably fishing next year.
Okay, so that leads into the sponsorship game. Like, clean, everything looks good. I don't see a ton of endemic patches on there, man. I don't see. I mean, it doesn't have the clown suit look to it that a lot of guys who are fishing. What is your experience with sponsors? Have you had some guys reach out after the regional, the All-American? You're leading it now. What's that horizon look like in your familiarity with navigating the bass fishing industry?
I'm not going to lie. It's totally foreign. I mean, it's like speaking French to me. I'm not going to lie at all about it. And, I've tried to reach out to a few people and talk to them. And, is it best to try it now or wait? Do I try to show up at ICAST? Do I approach them or do they approach me? I know social media is huge. And I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest on social media, but I know I've got to adapt and start that process. And I've tried to a little bit when time allows, but it's all foreign. I'll be honest. I don't really know how to approach it. And, I've always done it out of my own pocket pretty much. And I understand, and that was the whole reason why, if I didn't make the championship this year, it was probably going to be my last year. It's just almost 100% impossible to do it without sponsor help, paying sponsors. It's almost 100% impossible. You're not going to make a living doing it. And at the end of the day, I'm a businessman. And if the numbers don't add up, it doesn't make sense to keep doing something when you're losing money. I mean, if you run a business and you're losing money, you're not going to be in business very long. So I do understand that the whole sponsor deal is a huge part of it. And that's what I'm working on right now, trying to talk to some people behind the scenes. I have had a few people reach out, I guess you would say. And, that's another deal too. Like, I don't really know how to approach that. Do you wait for someone else to come along, or do you approach different companies that you would 100% like to be a part of? And I'm also the kind of person, I'm not just going to take any sponsorship just because it's a sponsor. I understand paying sponsors is what you got to have, but if I don't 100% believe in a product, I wouldn't use it, probably, no matter the amount of money, to be honest with you. That's just the person that I am. I'm not going to lie to people straight off the bat. And at the end of the day, I mean, I've heard horror stories with sponsorships back and forth, especially since COVID. And it's a whole ruckus. And to be honest with you, I've got to figure out how to play that game for sure.
You're kind of in a catch-22, Josh. Like, because I look at this, because you're leading now, you're a hot angler, people want to talk to you, but then do you alter what you've been doing with focusing on the fishing and just keeping your head down and grinding it by adding all these outside influences to try to take advantage of it? And then if something happens, you see what I'm saying? It's like, I kind of feel where you're at. Like, do you just keep it down, and if it goes there, you worry about it after? Do you? And then the ICAST that's like right in between there with the tournament the next week. Yeah, that's a sketchy deal. Like, there is no right path. Everyone goes about it differently too in the industry.
That's exactly right. And that's what I'm really struggling with right now. I mean, I know I need to reach out to people right now because they're probably looking forward to their 2023 budgets, but the season isn't done yet. It's kind of hard to say, hey, I'm going to qualify for the BPT when I haven't actually qualified. I mean, I might finish last place in this event, something freak might happen, I don't qualify. So it's kind of like, it's hard to put yourself and approach possible people when you don't still know what you might be doing.
You're just like, man, I just want 21 pounds of smallmouth for the next 3 days and get out of here. We'll worry about that in August.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm kind of torn right now. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to go to ICAST. I think I have that opportunity to go down there. And it's kind of like, do I really try to focus on next year in the sponsor side? Because I'm not going to lie, right now, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about Champlain. So it's kind of like keeping the train on the tracks and, not trying to do the sponsor side plus fishing plus business. It's like, well, let's just worry about fishing Champlain right now. And then if we win, hopefully that'll open a lot of doors. And, if it doesn't, it's not meant to be, then, hey, we're just, like I said, we're going to enjoy this ride. And yeah, I mean, like I said, though, I'll take any tips, anything you can give me, because right now, yeah, it's kind of in between a rock and a hard place. So go forward, I guess.
How old are you?
I am 35.
All right, so you're right in there with Lucas and Michael. I think Michael Neal's probably still younger than you. I remember they always made the joke that for 18 years in a row, Michael Neal's been the youngest on tour. But man, there's that group, that next group of guys coming out, that 30 to 35. You're like coming right into the wheelhouse. Family?
I do. I got an amazing wife that supports me 110%. Okay. Couldn't do it without her. And got a daughter. She's amazing. She's playing, it seems like 19 sports, it seems like. So she's basketball, volleyball, softball. So that's a handful in itself there too. But yeah, I got a family. They're very supportive, and couldn't definitely do it without them, for sure.
You got it all on your plate, man. Business owner, family, sports Monday through Friday.
Pretty much.
And the fishing thing. Has it seemed like it's gone fast? You seem stressed out? You don't seem to me like a guy who gets like super rattled.
No. I mean, at the end of it, you can't control what you can't control. And that's what I tell people here at the office. We're free. Everybody's kind of freaking out. It's hot. We have 20 jobs. Everybody is wanting them done yesterday. And I'm like, look, I can't eat you. We'll get there when we can get there. All we can control is what you can control. Don't worry about everything on the outside. And, I just take it one day at a time. I don't try to let things rattle me, because who wants that added stress? I mean, I don't need it. I don't want it. So I guess you'd say I am laid back to a certain degree, but that's my outlook on things. And that's kind of how I try to, I guess you'd say, live my life.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to take our final break of the show. When we come back, you mentioned, you talked about the fall event from a couple years ago. You mentioned offshore. That's kind of your jam. Want to throw a little tips, tactics, and techniques into the final segment. Maybe teach the BTL listeners and viewers a thing or two to maybe put a few fish in the boat this summer offshore. So we'll be back after this with Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit Pro Josh Butler on BTL.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
Vibrating jigs are a great choice for any time of year, and the Kamikaze Swim-On is a perfect match for any vibrating jig. 2 sizes and the unique tail design gives it a bait fish profile and a great swimming action for realism. There are 17 colors. See them all at bigbitebaits.com. The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look. That matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Combining one of the most popular hook styles with Gamakatsu's beefier Superline offering, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend delivers the strength necessary to target big fish in heavy cover. Well suited for braided line and heavier fluorocarbon, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend is built using stronger Superline wire that allows anglers to easily fish a finesse worm around heavy cover. The round bend offers a larger bite area, perfect for any worm presentation, while increasing your hookup ratios. The newly enhanced Z-bend holds your plastics on the hook longer, reducing the number of pull-offs and reducing damage to plastics. Available in 2/0, 3/0, 4/0, and 5/0, this is the most durable worm hook, designed for heavier lines that hold your bait on longer.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
The new Android series is the peak of the Denali lineup and offers the ultimate Denali experience. The Android series features 36-ton multi-directional graphite combined with interlock blank technology for added strength. Each rod is outfitted with Royal titanium guides that will not fail. The blank is fitted into an easy-touch, soft-feel EVA foam grip with exposed blank reel seat. This all allows the Android to transmit every movement of your bait and even the most subtle bites. The Android series is the finest rod Denali has ever made and offers an angler the ultimate fishing experience with a limited lifetime warranty. See the full lineup of Android rods at denalirods.com.
Welcome back to BTL. Josh is watching that backstage this ad, and the guy that's trying to track him down there. I promise I always end with the Denali ad, but Michael Dio will be trying to track you down with this 36 million module multi-directional graphite rods in not that long there on Champlain. Dude, I'm a Josh Butler fan now. I like how you're going about it. I like the business model. You seem like you've got everything dialed in, and it's not a like, I don't know how to say it. It's not a fluke, right? Like, it's not just a guy who happened to have 5 or 6 good tournaments. You look back at the 2020, the consistency, the game plan, how you think things out, how you go about your business, and it kind of all starts to make sense now.
I hope it's not a fluke. Obviously, I like to think it's not. But, growing up here in Alabama, I mean, it's not a matter of if you can do it. I mean, if you can compete in local tournaments, I've said it. There's 50, 60 different guys that could do this full time if they chose. They just choose. And, if you have success locally around here, you can fish against those guys out there. And last year, it was just one of those deals that I didn't adapt to the travel and the whole circuit. But, once you have a year
in the top half, too, and cashed 3 checks, made $30,000. I mean, it wasn't a bust.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't awful, but, at the end of the day, I guess I have higher expectations for myself, and which I guess isn't a bad thing. But I would, I mean, I would hope it continues.
I didn't mean that in a bad way. I meant it in a good way.
I know. Absolutely.
I talked to Jamie. Jamie Horton?
Yes, I've talked to him a few times.
I talked to him. I don't talk to him as much as I should. He usually has great stories about putting like raccoons in live wells and bobcats in rod lockers and like growing up with pet deer and stuff like that. But I've talked to him, and he's kind of a local legend from what I gather in the Alabama kind of major minor pro tournament circuit. And you like talk to all these guys, and it is insane, the number. And then like the thing that gets me is, and it's like this in Oklahoma too, you like go down the list and you're like, well, these guys have been doing it on these bodies of water for 25 or 30 years. They're using it like to supplement as a secondary income. And no matter what time of year or when it is, like they've seen it 8 foot flooded in April when they start dropping the water. And you like sit there and you're like, man, like how do you compete against that level of experience and expertise on these bodies of water? And when you start and you like beat 1 or 2, you're like, holy cow, like that gave me so much confidence, even though it wasn't consistent. And Alabama is just like, it's like that in Florida and Oklahoma and that East Texas area with, those guys. But Alabama is right there as far as local and regional guys.
Absolutely. No, it's stout. I mean, you have that Alabama Bass Trail, the BFLs. I mean, you name it. You got local trails, Airport Marine, Silicagas. I mean, there's so many trails around here, Coosa River Team Trail. I mean, you can go on and on and on. And there's literally 40, 50 guys that could win any single one of those tournaments. And the competition is just absolutely stout. And to win one, you've done something. It drives that competitiveness, I guess you would say. And that's, I contribute a lot of my success to fishing in the state of Alabama, not just because it's diverse. And a lot of people I know transplant to Alabama for that reason, but the competition itself, I mean, it just drives you to be a better angler. And you learn a lot from these guys too, especially once you meet a lot of them, you start talking with them, become buddies with them, and you can bounce things back and forth. I mean, it does make you just a 100% a better angler.
The thing I like about Alabama, Josh, and some states, it seems like a lot of anglers just can't get over this. Oklahoma does too, but there's not a lot outside of major team tournaments and like an ABA. There's not a lot of like what Kay Donaldson does with the Alabama Bass Trail and stuff. But it seems like in Alabama, a lot of the quote unquote big names, the touring guys, all come back and mix it up in the BFLs, on the like on all of that. It seems like there's always classics, AOYs, Elite Series, BPT guys, and the Alabama tournament anglers love mixing it up with the best guys on the water. It's not you can't fish this, you're one of the guys. Like Alabama's like, oh yeah, you think you're good, bring it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I just saw the other night on Facebook. I want to say Matt, Jordan, Jesse, all them. They go and fish like the Tuesday night wildcat at like Smith Lake. I mean, they accept the challenge. Bring it, come on. And it is great. I think just about every trail is open to pros fishing, and or considered a pro or whatever. I enjoyed fishing against those guys. It's like, yeah, come on, let's see where you're at. Let's see where I'm at. Whenever you want to win, you want to beat the best. That's my mentality. I don't want to just beat, grandma, grandpa, and grandson or whatever. I want to fish against the best, and I want to beat the best. That's just my competitive nature. I don't want to fish against a weak field. I want to fish against the best, and if I win, I knew I was the best that day, and that's the way I look at it. And it really, like I said, it makes you a better angler for sure.
It drives me nuts. I don't think outside of like a specific, I know there's like some that's like, hey, 150 horsepower max, or unless it is a specific, like a one-off tournament or something that is specifically for like what Johnny Morris did with the US Open there with Bass Pro Shops. I'm cool like limiting that. But as far as like saying, oh, you've made this entry, you've done this entry fee, or you fished this, or within 3 years, I have never understood why people have an issue with guys jumping down into it. Like, that's what it's all about. What other sport are you going to go play your Tuesday night tennis and Nadal shows up and is like, man, do you mind if I jump in? Plus, it's fishing on any given day. Anybody can beat anybody, and really, those guys jumping down and fishing it are putting their necks out on the line more than anyone else, because they got 15 people that are going, well, I beat Gerald Swindle, and they're going to talk about that to their grandkids on a Wednesday nighter that he fishes. If you win, they go, well, of course, they're supposed to win, 2-time Angler of the Year, Gerald Swindle. They've got nothing to gain and everything to lose, and they're doing it for the love of the fishing. I hate the people that limit it. Like, oh, you can't fish that. You know what? If you're one of the 3 people that complain about that, then go fish a farm pond.
I agree 110%. I mean, and everybody, like, if Gerald was to come down and fish, I mean, Gerald's been on the road probably the last 6 months, and the guy that he's going to be fishing against, hell, he's probably fished there 10 times in the past 2 weeks, and he knows exactly where the fish are and everything else. Gerald's coming in just to have fun and, go relieve some stress and, have a good time. And everybody wants to brag when they beat him. Well, like I said, he ain't been on the lake in the last probably 6 months over here. He's just going to blow off some steam, have a good time. And that's what I don't understand. I mean, we're on the road so much. Whenever we come home and want to fish a tournament, oh, you can't do it, you're a pro. Dude, you fished the lake the last 15 times in the past month, and I haven't been on it in 6 months. Who do you think has the advantage? It's not the guy that just showing up that's a so-called pro that wants to fish. I mean, I've never understood the argument either. And for the most part around Alabama, the only thing that we're really not allowed to fish, I think, is like an ABA, which I'm not going to really talk about that. But, they've kind of went downhill a little bit here recently, at least numbers wise, and the ABTs. We're not allowed to fish Alabama Bass Trail, which that rule was made from day one. But now we have the ABT 100s, which is
there's all sorts of top level guys fishing that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's 8 or 10 elite guys, a couple of BPT guys, a couple of tackle warehouse guys. I mean, there's a bunch of pros fishing in it, and it's really awesome event. Really awesome.
All right, I love a good BTL rant. I get on it every once in a while. Listen, if you are a guy that if you're listening to the show and you've if you've put it on the trailer, you are against elite, shoot me a DM. I want to know. I want to get a conversation. I might even throw you on the show. I might even make a whole BTL about that. I want to know for the people who say, you know what? Yeah, I got an issue with that. I don't want to fish against Jason Christie on Grand. Who the heck wouldn't want to do that? I don't want to fish against Charlie Hartley in Ohio. Who the heck would want to? And I don't want to do that. Anyway,
I don't know.
Okay, I want to close it with some education, Josh. Offshore, TVA. A lot of guys doing it. A lot more guys doing it now with the advent of forward-facing sonar and all the live coverage, to where it's no longer a mystery. It's like, hey, look, see, cast, you can watch it. It's the hottest thing. You want to do a technique show? 90% of the questions are offshore. It is the hottest topic. Couple of your keys that you've really had success over the past 3 years. Is there any offshore advice that is universal for the entire kind of area of the country that you're in, that you can go to a fishery and it seems to hold true fishery to fishery?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably definitely say, well, first off, I would say understanding your electronics. I know nowadays it's easy to just run by people, press a button, and go back, and the electronics are so good anybody can find it. And unfortunately, it seems like that's where it's gotten to. But I would say overall, for the most part, I would say once you find that school of fish, understanding how they're set up is really crucial. I mean, if they're hugged tight to the bottom, you know they're going to fire. But I would say start out throwing the biggest bait you can first, whether that be, you know, depending on the depth, obviously, but TVA, they're most of the time at 18, 20, 22 foot. Throwing a 10XD, throwing a 6-7 inch swim bait, you know, throw those big baits first, a mag spoon, a hair jig, all those things. I would say start out throwing your biggest bait and then find a rotation and start working your way all the way down to a drop shot. Now, don't overlook a drop shot, because I've caught more fish over 7 pounds on a drop shot than any other bait in my boat. I love a drop shot. It straight catches them. And I would say that's a big key, is start out big, working your way down. And then I would say finishing up with like a drop shot or something, go through like a rotation of baits.
Okay, so bull in a china shop. Give them, and typically, will you find that the biggest fish in the schools will react to those first?
Absolutely. I especially once they first get out there, it seems like that big fish is going to eat first. So that 6-7 inch swim bait, a mag spoon, or a 10XD, I mean, something a big profile they can't really resist, and they're down there competing. I mean, at the end of the day, and that big one's going to get it, I would say 8 out of 10 times. I mean, it's unreal. And then once you get them fired up, it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So you can literally catch them every cast. Now, if you lose one, it's a different story. It could shut them down. But I would say, you know, my first go-to would be a big swim bait is what I would say I would throw, because it has one hook. It's not treble hooks. I really like throwing that big swim bait first, because I really think that's how you're going to get your biggest bite.
When you say positioned, like the TVA guys get that. They were set up right. I love that phrase. I got there and they were set up right. How many times have you heard that? So explain exactly what that, are they all facing the same way? Are they all in the same water column? Are they all ambushed? What does set up right look like to you? And how do you know, like, in your mind, visually, how are those fish set up if you were to drain the lake and just have those fish positioned where they were on a good offshore spot?
Absolutely. An offshore spot, I mean, it can be a point in 12 foot of water on your local lake. So, you know, it's all different, but TVA speaking, it could be a hump, a river ledge, a point.
Yeah, let's go TVA.
Exactly. I mean, it could be a hump or a just straight ledge, but whenever you're graphing and you see them like really, really tight to the bottom, and they're right on that drop, or they're right behind that drop, they're going to chew. But if you see them, they're scattered out, there's mid-depth in the water column, those fish probably aren't going to fire. And that could be because they got busted up. It could be because lack of current. You know, it could be pressure. Whenever you get that current, that 30, 40, 50,000 units flowing through any of the lakes on the Tennessee River, they're going to group up, and they're going to group up hard. And if you can find a school that hasn't been tampered with, I guess you would say, it's going to be lights out. And that's what makes it so much fun and rewarding. You know, it used to be cool. It's not so much cool anymore because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
I guess you would say. But it's still so rewarding. I mean, if I have an off day or I'm home and I want to go fun fish, I can literally go to Gunnersville, an hour away from my house, and I can put 10 hours on my motor. I know where most of the fish are. I don't go to them. I don't catch them. I want to find something off the wall, something different, something sneaky that no one else might know about. And if I find something, you know, that's invaluable to me, because I won't even stand up and fish it, because I know once you stand up, it's pretty much done. But finding a hidey hole out of the way is so rewarding to me. And that's why I really enjoy it. It's the hide and seek factor, I guess. You try to find something untapped that no one else has necessarily found, I guess you would say. That's what I love about it.
Here's another thing that no one ever talks about. They always talk about blowing up the school. You mentioned a school that is tampered with. Is there a way that you can go about fishing? I mean, you found them. They're there. You know they're bass. Is there a way that you can fish a school without blowing up the school, without pulling the fish to where you can maximize that school? Like, can you, I think of it like a laydown. Like some guys are like, hey, you want to start out because if you flip dead nuts in the middle and blast one, then you drag it out, screw the whole thing up. Is there a way to do that when you're offshore fishing to where you can maximize a school, or is that just the nature of the beast?
I think it's more so the nature of the beast. I mean, there's tips and tricks you can do. I mean, but overall, I mean, once you start catching fish, you're going to see fish following back to the boat. I mean, I can't tell you how many times you'll have a 4 or 5 pounder on with a crankbait, and there's 6 of them with it trying to eat the crankbait mouth. I mean, it's one of those deals. I just think it's the competitive nature of those fish. Once you catch one, you know, they're all competing for that same bait. Well, once that one fish eats, they're all mad at that fish and they're trying to get that bait out of the mouth. I just think it's not hard to bust them up, but once they first get out there, they won't bust up as bad when they haven't seen a lot of baits.
So they get educated. Like I find it hard. It's hard. You want to apply conscious thought to a fish. Like he's like, oh, here we go. But then you know that it's like an inanimate object that's only reacting to its environment and conditions. So how the heck do they know whether it's May or whether it's September? Like what? I've never been able to wrap my head around how they know.
Well, once they get out there in May, we hit it almost dead nut on for the Gunnersville event. It was still like 6 days too early, I would say, 4 or 5 days early. I want to say when we was up at, it was the end of May, like Memorial Day, they started running like 60, 70,000. And it was funny. We was talking to Alex Davis, and he said, yeah, everybody's out there crushing them thinking they're Mark Rose, you know, because they were just all out there grouped up. They were biting. But that tournament, we didn't have a whole lot of current, so I think that kept a lot of fish from actually coming out there. So therefore, whenever you did catch a couple, it kind of busted them up because they wasn't grouped up tight to really start with. And then if you lose a fish, that just almost killed the school completely. But I would say, like, the biggest thing is once you find them and you know they're going to bite, I mean, you go to catching on them. And then if you don't get bite, rotate through some baits. A hair jig's a really big player, especially the first of the year. But the longer those fish are out there, the more and more people find them, the more and more people throw at them, the more and more pressure, the more baits. I mean, they've heard a 10XD, I guarantee you now, 100,000 times coming by their head. I mean, they just get accustomed to it and they know it's not, you know, it's not real. So once you start getting into July, August, September, and it goes away probably first, middle, end of September, depending on how hot it gets, but you really got to finesse those fish more. Drop shot, you know, a shaky head. You got to really finesse these fish, football jig, all that stuff. I mean, it's more or less a dragon type deal, and you just light line, I mean, finesse, and you kind of just got to, if you know a school's there, even though they're not set up right, you could probably sit on them and weed them out. You know, you might catch 3 an hour, and then it's just one of those deals. You just kind of lean on them, and eventually you'll catch them. But I would say, you know, that's about how you have to approach it. Unless we just get a torrential rain and they start running 60,000, then it seems like everything is like May again. But for the most part, once it gets this time of the year, they've seen every bait, every trick. They've seen it all.
That's good stuff. Anything else you want to get in here?
No, you know, first off, like I said, I want to thank my work family, my wife, my daughter. You know, I got to thank all of them. Without them, definitely couldn't do it. Mom, brother. Would like to thank Driftwood Custom Baits. You know, they've been with me since day one. Great swim bait. You know, definitely couldn't do it without them either. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to this last event. Wish us luck. We got some complete hammers chasing us down. I guess it's so-called David versus Goliath, but I like it. I love it. I'm ready to get after it, and it should be a lot of fun.
If I were you, just get in Lucas's head before takeoff, just idle past him and be like, "Hey, I hear you overcook your steaks."
Oh,
Just really rattle his cage there. That's what he takes the most pride in life.
I got you. No, I'll make sure I throw that at him.
All right, Josh Butler, current leader of the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit Angler of the Year, heading up to Champlain to try to get the job done. Thanks for jumping on BTL. I'll let you get back to work.
I appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me.
All right, see ya. There you go. Like I said, Josh Butler. I'm a Josh Butler fan. We did that last year. Mark and I had Andrew Loberg on. I remember we looked at each other and went, dude, I love this guy. We just had him on last week on the show. Remember doing the same thing with Kyle Welcher and a couple different guys who come on. So wish Josh all the best. And, man, he really knows his ledge and offshore stuff. That is a definite art form that those guys, especially in Alabama, have dialed in. I'm not kidding. As we close out today, if you have a problem, if you see a fundamental issue with a current or former professional angler jumping in your jackpot, your weekend tournament, anything like that, I want to know why, because I don't understand that. All right, this has been another edition of BTL. We'll see you guys later.